We're running a composite ewe that has a Barula gene in it, and the Barula gene is a gene that has you have a lot of multiple and triplet bearing ewes. So for us, we see the effects of weather a lot with ewes that are having 3 lambs because the birth weights aren't in the lambs, and so they need a lot more protection.
We know our environment, we have trouble with poor weather events over our key lambing months, so from June right through to September. So we thought perhaps we can try and reduce some of that chill that's coming from the wind. So that's kind of where the thought process came from. So we've set up these hedges to do that. And at the research site, they're pretty similar to these. So they're about 1 metre high, and we set them up in a bay with 10 metres of a perennial grass in the bay. And the theory behind that was for every 1 metre in height, you get about 10 metres in reduced wind speed. The key thing is that we achieved a 30% increase in lamb survival across all birth types, so singles, twins and triplets. And in both our genotypes, our twin lamb survival increased by 15%. I think from 76 to 87% survival in the sheltered areas. So if you work that out, that's probably about 22 extra lambs per 100 twin bearing ewes lambing, which is pretty exciting. I think for industry that's been so focused on increasing lamb survival, this is, in our environment, we got pretty significant results.
Ours is a really simple setup. All we did was, when we were sowing the paddocks down, we just left about 1.5 metres every 30 metres, and then later on came back in with the drill and just blocked the drill up to that width, and then just sowed those with tall wheatgrass. Yeah, you do lose a slight amount of production, like, you know, well, you're losing 1.5 metres every 30 metres, so you might be losing 5% of your paddock. But we're getting a lot more production out of those paddocks than older paddocks, so that 5% or whatever we're losing to us is, you know, it's irrelevant.
We set ours up north to south orientation because we knew in the really bad weather events, the wind was coming from the west or the southwest, so, you know, we set them up to block that prevailing wind. The important thing with the design is with any sort of hedge that you use is that it's good if they're permeable, so the ewes can move through the hedges, so you don't get sort of any mismothering that you might get with some sort of solid structure. They can hear and see, they can walk back through, and the regularity in which they're spaced, so that the ewes don't have to move far before they can be isolated again and be in shelter but away from the rest of the flock. And having good available high quality feed in the bays, so that they don't have to move far to get a feed, so you're kind of promoting that bonding that needs to occur, you know, within the first 6 to 12 hours for the ewe and lamb.
If you get a cold winter and a really cold day, you'll come out and there'll be lambs sheltering along the edge of the hedgerows.
EverGraze is a research and delivery partnership with the Future Farm Industries CRC and MLA and AWI and other industry bodies. I guess there's a bit of controversy about tall wheatgrass in general because the Future Farm Industries CRC see it as a weed risk because it can spread. So as long as we can be careful about where we place it in the environment so that it's not near waterways, so that we graze it properly, so grazing it over sort of that early summer period when it's gone up to seed head and you're chomping off all those seeds, that's something pretty simple and effective. Making sure that between the tall wheatgrass that we had something that's quite competitive so you don't get it spreading out into the rest of the paddock. There are actually trials that are being set up as we speak, more on-farm demonstrations with MLA to try and establish what's the best thing to use to generate some sort of hedge.
We've got them in here now, even if it takes us 5 years to work out how to actually make them work. Because they're a perennial plant, they're here, and so we can then perfect how we're actually going to manage them.